I titled it, 83 Million Can't Be Unimportant. And where I got that from, I was kind of shocked. I Googled just the word forgiveness. I was kind of like, I wonder what the Google says about forgiveness. It has over 83 million hits on just the word forgiveness. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is apparently a big deal. And I thought, just curious, how many hits does A Course in Miracles have? And it had like 532,000. So it's important, but forgiveness, at least in the global Google internet world, like 160 times more hits than A Course in Miracles. And so it was like, I really felt like this is what I want to talk about today. Somebody shared a new perspective on forgiveness with me a couple weeks ago. And it really has kind of changed how I'm looking at it. It's changed how I'm approaching it. It's changed a lot about how I'm feeling about things. And so I was going to share that. And then it was funny because I was like, okay, I'm talking Sunday. And then I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I went on Amazon. I ordered my dad's Father's Day gift. Sin's Father's Day gift. And then about last night, at about 8 o'clock, I thought, tomorrow is Father's Day. I had gone I'm speaking on Sunday. Sunday is Father's Day. I hadn't connected them. And went, oh, I'm speaking on Father's Day. And so I kind of had that moment. I was like, okay, now I feel bad because, gotta give a shout out to the dads. So hi, dads. Love the dads. But I also really felt that this was what I was supposed to talk about today. So that's why you're not getting a God is our Father, we love God as our Father talk today. That's usually what I would have done had I realized it. And for some reason, I guess Spirit just did not want me to make that connection. So we're going to talk about forgiveness and the 83 million hits that it has on Google, which I'm like, how do you even start with that? I think there's 20 hits a page. I was like, how do you go through 83 million? I don't even conceive of how it counts that. This kind of relates a bit to the last time I spoke also, which last time I spoke, it was called The Time for Healing is Now. And I talked about some of the steps we take in bringing healing into our lives. We look at circumstances differently. We try to see the good in all things. We don't suppress our emotions, but we acknowledge them and allow ourselves to work through them with the help of Holy Spirit. And then the last thing I had said about healing is I said we'd be a channel and conduit for healing. And that's where the change for me came with forgiveness this last couple of weeks, is I have a friend of mine who shared, they said forgiveness isn't something you do. They said it's something that's done to you. It's a mystical experience that's done to you. And I thought that's an odd thought, because I always think oh, I'm going to forgive Reverend Lucas. I'm going to forgive, Reverend Teodosio. I'm going to forgive my sister. I'm going to forgive. And I've always thought of it as something I do. And yet, how often, let's be honest, how often do we say, I want to forgive this person, and 2 years later, we're still pissed off? Don't we do that? Or we're like, well, I know I should forgive, but they screwed up, and they don't deserve my forgiveness. We all do it. Or we are like, even on the metaphysical level, sometimes we don't forgive because we know we feel bad, and we're like, well, we'll punish ourselves. We won't forgive the other person because this way we feel guilty about it, because we've got some issue we're working with. And so I've struggled with that a lot over the years. Different people in my life, friends, family, teachers, where it's like I look at them and I've been like, I want to forgive. And as much as I said I wanted to forgive, I knew there was that part of me that hadn't. And then it's like, then you go into that cycle of, well, now I'm mad at myself because I didn't forgive, and so now I got to forgive myself for not forgiving. And it gets in this crazy cycle. And so it was interesting, this person said to me, they said, it's not you forgiving. It's a mystical practice that you do, that is done to you. And I thought, well, I wonder, does the Course, I've never heard it phrased that way. And I thought, I wonder what Course in Miracles says. So I looked up, it was interesting, I looked up the part in the Course that's called What is Forgiveness? And it was interesting because I realized it talked about forgiveness in the third person. I had never seen that before. It doesn't say when you forgive. It says in the reading, it says forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you. It doesn't say when you forgive you recognize it. It says forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. It doesn't pardon sins and make them real. It sees there's no sin. There's also, it goes down further and it says, do nothing then, and let forgiveness show you what to do. Isn't that interesting? Let forgiveness show you what to do. Well, if you're doing the forgiving, how does it show you? It's not. It's talking as if it's a third party. It's a third event outside of yourself. And I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting concept, because think of it. It takes a lot of the guilt away. It gets us out of that cycle of I have to forgive for not forgiving. Because now I'm got this thing out here. It's a tool for me to use. It's a tool for me to bring into my life. But it's not something I'm having to create within myself. It's something that will guide me. It's something that will teach me. So how do we move towards that? How do we get into it? It talks about forgiveness, again, the reading says, it offends no aspect of reality, nor seeks to twist it to appearances it likes. It merely looks and waits and judges not. So again, it's interesting, talking third party. It merely looks, it waits, it judges not. How do we get to that point of saying, okay, I'm going to embody forgiveness. I'm going to let forgiveness come through me. I'm going to let forgiveness become the channel. I'm going to be the conduit for it. We'll let the sirens go by. Maybe.
We're an urban church.
We send love and blessing to whoever those sirens are going to. Yeah, for those on Hallock, I told the folks at Hallock, I was like, it's a nice sunny day. I don't really think they realize that for us, like 80 degrees is sweltering, and so windows are open today. So forgiveness is this idea that it comes in and it says, okay, let's release judgment. Let's release this thought. What's the critical part on our parts? And I've talked about this some before, is willingness. We've got to be willing. And it's not that we're doing the forgiveness, but we've got to be willing to let forgiveness come in and change us. I love it. It's in chapter 30 of the original text. It says, look on your brother with the willingness to see him as he is. I found that interesting again. Since I've been changing my perspective on this. It says, look on your brother with the willingness to see him as it is. It doesn't say look at your brother as he is. If you did, you would be pretty much enlightened, right? You'd be like, oh, Steve's God, I'm good, we're good to go. But we don't really see that. So how do we look at our brother? We move to a point of being willing to see our brother as he is. We say, okay, Holy Spirit, there's Reverend Lucas. Let me see Reverend Lucas as they are. But we have to be willing. And it's interesting, I was reading Teach Only Love, which is by Gerald I'm probably mispronouncing it, Jampowski. Close enough.
Close.
Close. I read it, actually was on retreat a couple of years back. And he says exactly, pretty much the same thing. He says, forgiveness is relinquishing an unhelpful train of thought. Forgiveness is the gentle refusal to defend ourselves against love. I thought that was great. Forgiveness is the gentle refusal to defend ourselves against love. It doesn't say what? I'm grabbing love. It says I'm just going to stop fighting it. Because how often, that's what the Course is, right? I'm not going to teach you love. I'm going to teach you how to remove the barriers. But it has to be a willingness to open up to that. And then he continues, he says, it's a willingness to perceive everyone, including ourselves, as either expressing love or feeling a need for love. Again, it's a willingness. It's a willingness. And then he says, forgiveness does not imply a type of behavior. How often do we do that? Well, if I forgive them, I have to act a certain way. I've had people, we've had issues with Facebook. People have said, well, if you're going to be forgiving on Facebook, you can't block that person. I've had people say, if you forgive your sister, you need to take telephone calls from her. Jampowski's saying, forgiveness isn't a specific type of behavior. It's a willingness to see the brother as needing love or expressing love. One of my friends said, I said, well, how do you implement this? And he says, you stop letting yourself go into your story. And you keep coming back and saying, I'm going to be willing. And he says, you're not going to say, I'm going to forgive, because we all fight against that. What do? It's kind of like when you're on a diet. And what do they say? Don't have the chocolate cake. What's the only thing you obsess about when they tell you don't have the chocolate cake?
The chocolate cake.
The dang chocolate cake. I mean, it's the worst. Where they'll say, don't eat French fries. And it's like every time you turn around, there's McDonald's on the corner. And this is that same thing. That I have to say, I can't be like, oh, I'm going to just forgive my brother, forgive my brother, forgive my brother. Because then what are you doing? You're thinking, I'm going to forgive my brother for him being a jerk. I'm going to forgive my brother even though he did this crap to me. I'm going to forgive my brother for da-da-da-da-da. You stop. My friend said he's done this a lot. He said, you just simply say, I'm going to stop repeating the story, and I come to a place of willingness. And he just simply says, I ask that forgiveness set me and set that person free, whoever it is. It might even be not necessarily a specific person. It could be, I ask that forgiveness set me and sets the Republican Party free. I ask that forgiveness set me and my sister, we'll use my sister today, my sister free. That's a big forgiveness lesson for me. Because I don't see her as perfect. I'll say it, I don't see her as perfect. I look at her life choices and I go, that's messed up in my mind. It's messed up. And so every time I go to that thought, I have to pause and I say, I'm not going to keep thinking that thought. I'm going to stop, I'm going to take 10 seconds. I ask that forgiveness set me and my sister free. And it seems so simple. Just a 10-second phrase, right? I'm saying, I ask that forgiveness set me and this person free. But here's the difference. Is number one, you're not fighting it. You're not saying, I need to bring the forgiveness in. I need to do this. There's an acknowledgement first that forgiveness is outside of me from the Holy Spirit. And I am now saying, here's what I'm saying. I'm being willing to allow Holy Spirit to do this work through me. I'm willing to allow there to be forgiveness in this situation. Now, like I said with Jamkowski, he doesn't mean you have to behave a certain way. Doesn't mean you have to behave a certain way. In the reading I gave you, it says, do nothing then. So, do nothing, that's implied you. You yourself, don't be fighting this, don't be trying to figure out what to do. Let forgiveness show you what to do through him who is your guide. So again, interesting, forgiveness here being taught third party. Third party comes through Holy Spirit and says, do this. I'll tell you, for me, one of the big forgiveness lessons has been to forgive myself that I can't tolerate everybody. I've kind of come up with I've looked at the whole teaching of a compromised approach to illness, and I've said, you know what? For me, that applies to all parts of my life. I'm not spiritually at the point of being able to just sit there and allow somebody to be verbally abusive to me and not have it affect me. I'm just not there yet. And so I've said, Holy Spirit, what do I do? And the very clear response I have gotten is, you allow the person to say what they need to say the first time. And this is for me. Other people are different. But then I don't leave myself in that situation. If that person chooses to continue to be offensive, that is fine. I know they are a perfect child of God, but I've been shown for me that I'm not in a place to be able to just sit there with it either, without going into false beliefs about myself. So Spirit says, take a compromise. Get yourself out. On another day when you're doing better, you can go deal with that person. And I don't judge them for their behavior, but I just allow the guidance I've received to guide me. And if I start to go in judgment, I go back and I say, forgiveness? Was it forgiveness? I remember it. Forgiveness. I ask that forgiveness set me and set that person free. Because sometimes, sometimes you gotta take that break away. It's like taking, the Course talks about that little magic pill you take when you got a cold. Sometimes you think, well, the Course kind of says it's just a little magic pill. Well, guess what? You think you're a body, you're sick. You're coughing, sneezing, whatever. Sometimes you gotta take that compromise. And so with forgiveness, you go and you say, forgiveness, I ask that you set me, acknowledging that, guess what? I'm not feeling free at this moment. Ask that you set me and this other person free. Now I gotta get back in order since I pulled out that one. There we go. So how does it look going forward? Forgiveness recognizes that what your brother did to you has not occurred. What then is free to take its place is now the will of God. And I've had people, and we talk a lot in the office about level of confusion of people saying like, taking spiritual realm and trying to deny the physical. It's not saying that you go, oh, that person didn't cross the street, in front of me. I was driving Uber this weekend. Trying to pay off a credit card, right? Good old Uber. I had this guy got in the car, hopped in, first thing I was kind of grumbly, and then he literally like flipped open his laptop, and it was a long drive, and he didn't say a word to me the rest of the drive. And I'll say my first initial thought was, this guy's a jerk. Like really, we had it was from San Francisco Airport to past Walnut Creek. Yeah, we're talking a long Uber drive. Didn't say a word to me the whole time, played on his laptop. And there was this thought of me saying like, okay, he's a jerk. You can't even bother to say hi, how rude, Of course this isn't saying that I deny that he got in his car and opened his laptop. What am I looking at didn't happen? But he's a jerk. He was trying to ignore me. I don't know why he was on his laptop. He just didn't talk to me the whole time. And so I could say, man got in car, man opened laptop, man didn't speak to me. But the whole rest of the story was my story. And so I looked at it and I had to say, guess what? Forgiveness, I asked forgiveness, set him and set me free. Because I knew that story wasn't real. I was going into anger and judgment that wasn't really there. It was my story. How do we know it's working? Just simply, you start, I was talking to my friend, I said, oh, so you forgive everybody? He goes, oh, no. He said, oh, no. He goes, but the guy who I was wishing was dead, he goes, I just was praying that he got a flu last week. He goes, it's a process, And that's why you keep going back to it. You go, oh, wait, I'm still not free of my thoughts. I'm still not free. And I'm still holding this judgment. But it gets better. I'll tell you, it used to be, I'd be like, my mom would start talking about my sister, and I'd be like, oh, heck no. I don't want to hear about that crap. She's a messed up brat. And I would go into my story, and I'd start bitting on my mom about how stupid I thought my sister was. Now it's like I just sit there and I go, okay, it's my sister. Not the choices I would make. Okay, bye. And it's not necessarily always the most loving. I did say something a couple days ago that I'm not repeating. We'll leave it at that. I said something I probably shouldn't have. But I'll say it's less frequent. And you realize you're not caught up in those emotions anymore. You're not being ruled by your feelings and your thoughts. You're able to say, okay, instead of being like, oh, well, I'm at him, so I'm going to go do this. You're able to be like, well, I'm at him, but I'm asking forgiveness to heal him and me. Holy Spirit, what would you have me do? And you're able to follow that with a sense of peace, of knowing that whatever the circumstances are, you are being guided. And that as you are healing, it's part of the healing process. As you are healing, you are now bringing healing to that other person. Maybe it'll change the outward appearance, maybe it won't, who knows. But the other part of it is it allows us now to be open with one another. Not just the person that you were upset with, or situation you were upset with, it allows you to be open with others. Because what happens? I'm mad at my sister. If I can't trust my sister, if you can't trust blood, how am I going to trust my friend? Don't you go there? Well, so-and-so, when I was in college, well, every time I took economics, I hated professors. Well, obviously, professors are just jerks. Is that true? No, but what do? When we haven't forgiven one, we start putting it out there to everybody. Because now we want to guard ourselves. We want to protect ourselves. And so it's not only that the forgiveness is relating to that person, it's healing yourself so that you can open up to relationship with everyone else too. So that you can live in a life of love. I love I love the lesson today. I'm always like, the lesson always ties in, it seems, to what I'm talking about. So I'm like, cool. So by grace I live. By grace I am released. And I think you could add that in. Guess what? By forgiveness I live. By forgiveness I am released. Bring it into your life and say, I'm willing, I'm open, I'm not going to fight this. But I'm willing to be healed. I'm willing to allow forgiveness to heal whatever's bothering you. And be open to that. Okay, so thank you. That's my talk.